With me now is Tom Mulcair, CTV News political commentator and the former leader of the NDP. Hello there, Tom. Good to see you. So we're a couple hours away. The reporters are going to be in lockup in about 30 minutes' time, so they're going to be going over David Johnston's report. What are you watching for?
Well, I think the key word that you just used is recommendations, because it should be borne in mind that under Canadian law, there's only one person who decides whether or not there's going to be a commission of inquiry, and that person is Justin Trudeau. Under our law, that type of commission of inquiry has to be set up by a decision of cabinet. And of course, who chairs cabinet? The Prime Minister, Mr. Trudeau. So since the beginning, the people around Trudeau have said, well, we're going to wait for the decision by Johnston. You hear that a lot. Johnston doesn't decide. He's going to make recommendations, and Trudeau says, well, I'm going to follow his recommendations, which he's allowed to say. But if ever, I don't think it's going to come to pass, but if ever Johnston were to say, we really don't need a commission of inquiry, we can do this, that, and the other thing instead of a commission of inquiry, I think that the pressure would build so rapidly around Trudeau that he would have no choice but to call one. So it's an exercise that's bought Trudeau a little bit of time, which was the main goal. Hey, this goes back to November. We're at the G20 meeting in Bali, Indonesia. Mr. Trudeau goes up to President Xi of China, and they're having an animated discussion. And the people around Trudeau put out that he was giving Xi what for interference in Canadian elections. So when he got back to Parliament, people wanted to know more, but Trudeau wasn't very forthcoming. And that's been the problem all along, Marcia, is that Trudeau said too much and not enough. People are starting to understand when you look at the information that came out just last week. Bill Blair stalling on a warrant to go get more information on one of the bad actors around this issue. And lo and behold, we're told in the same story that, well, the reason that they might not have gotten the warrant is because that person had close links to the Liberal Party. So is it a question of the Liberals not wanting to go after this thing too strongly because they think it might show that they sat on their hands? Because most of the bad influence and the efforts were directed against the Conservatives. So I think Poilievre was wise to stay away from this thing completely. He keeps his hands completely clean to criticize it. He's been personal in his remarks about Johnston. I don't think that was a great idea, because he wants to get Canadians to understand that this is an issue about our institutions, respect, the ability of Canadians to have confidence in our democratic institutions. That's what the bottom line is.
Okay, so apparently there are other options other than inquiry. What could they be, Tom? How creative could David Johnston be getting today with this report?
Well, he could say, for example, well, we can beef this up a little bit here. We can have this parliamentary committee that already exists, but it sits in camera, in other words, in secret. Most of the time, we've got to be able to let Canadians know about that. And since the beginning, what have we seen? Stonewalling, Marcia. We have a committee here, 3 people. They've looked at the 2019, 2021 elections, said there's really nothing to see here. Yeah, but those are all senior employees of Mr. Trudeau. Oh, well, we'll ask somebody with a sterling track record named Morris Rosenberg. Great guy, wonderful resume, but he was the president and CEO of the Trudeau Foundation. Indeed, Johnston himself, you and I have had an occasion to talk about this, Johnston himself had a key role at the Trudeau Foundation up until the time Trudeau named him special rapporteur. The minute it became clear that the Trudeau Foundation has to be looked at, it has to be under the microscope by whatever exercise we go through, I think that Johnston would have been wise to pull back a little bit, but he's persisting. He's going to give his recommendations today. But I think that the whole thing has simply had the average Canadian, and this is the test, whether I'm talking on French media or listening to people on the English side, one of the things that I've noticed is, unlike almost everything else in politics that goes away after 5 or 6 weeks, this one has kept people's interest. Canadians saying, no, this is fundamental. This is our democracy. This is our country. We don't want foreign powers interfering in that. And what are you going to do about it? That's what, for me, has been the most fascinating as an observer now of the political scene, Marcia, is the persistence of Canadians. Let's get to the bottom of this. We have a right to know.
So you raise an interesting point. And on that note, do you think that he's going to call or suggest or recommend a public inquiry today, Tom?
I'm convinced he's going to recommend a public inquiry. Okay. I can't see how, in the face of all of this evidence, any credible report can recommend anything short of that. And I'd go so far as to say that, unlike, for example, the Gomery Commission that looked at the shenanigans around the sponsorship scandal and that hurt the Liberals for years to come, and Trudeau knows that. He's got a deep understanding of the history of the party. He doesn't want to be the guy to create a commission of inquiry that can hurt the party long term. That's why all this stalling. Johnston's got another mandate until the end of October. So this is just trying to stretch it out to make sure it can't interfere in the next election. But getting to your question, I don't think it'll be a single commissioner. It would have to be at least three, and you'd have to make sure that it represents Canadian diversity. People who are from the Asian community will tell you they already suffer discrimination across Canada. And you want to make sure that people understand we're talking about the bad behavior of a government, of the Chinese Communist Party. We're not talking about your neighbor who might come from that part of the world. We're always careful to say the Chinese government and not Chinese, because then you're personalizing it. So that has to be clear. And I think that a way to do that would be to include people who represent that diversity on the panel of commissioners who would have to look at this thing. It's going to have to be a wide-ranging mandate. You're going to have to be careful. There are secrets of how CSIS, for example, gets its information. You don't want that to become public, but you want to make sure that all the information is there for Canadians to have confidence in our democratic process.
We'll be watching at noon, as I know you will be too. Tom Mulcair, great to have your analysis. Thank you so much. Tom is our political commentator. You too.